Hello, 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 hello. We
Hey,
are back again. We are back again. We are back again. So, Jazz,
yes,
it's been a long time coming.
I know, right? We had to take a couple weeks off, and it's all right though. We needed some rest again.
Yeah, it's all right. We getting back. We getting back to this. So, hope you guys are y'all share this right now. Come on, share this right now. Invite somebody, start a watch party, do what y'all need to do tonight. I'm excited for this conversation. Again, look, we have been going strong for how long? We've been going strong for? I think we've been going strong for a few weeks, haven't we?
I think this is our seventh one, seventh, eighth, somewhere around there.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah,
Yeah,
we've been going strong a lot. So
yeah.
tonight, as the Saints are coming on tonight, so let's talk about tonight's topic: productivity versus pandemic. And it's so crazy, Jazz, that we talked about this because yesterday I was trying to figure out a word to give to my people this morning, and literally this title just came up in my head. It literally said, "Celebrate progress."
Hmm.
And I think like because of this pandemic, a lot of people think that because they're not doing or they feel like they're not doing anything, that because they're not doing what they see somebody else do, they're not doing anything.
Right. So, when we talk about the word progress, progress essentially means, are you moving forward, right? Are
Mhm.
you achieving something? Are you attaining something? That doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be something that's tangible, right? Or something that we can quantify. A lot of times we are looking at, like the memes are saying, what did you produce during this time? Do you have a new product? Do you have a new book? Did you get this many clients? Did you do all of these things? And I mean, that's good, but for some of us, progress is being, did I slow down? Did I take some time for myself versus putting everybody else first? Did I say no a few more times than I said yes? So we just kind of have to learn how to what is progress for us as an individual versus looking out of the lens of how everybody else sees progress.
Yeah, you know something that kind of gets me. Sometimes I think like because of our what we see, I guess in this generation, we see so much social media, and we see like I guess what other people are saying, and I think that like I think even in this Jimmy, well, maybe it's just me. I haven't seen a lot now that the pandemic has happened. Everybody at home, but folks still think like, well, I'm still not like them, so I'm not doing anything, or
Mhm.
I'm just not, I just don't feel like I'm good enough, and
Mhm.
is that a is it part self esteem, and then it's also part, I guess validation per se.
Yes. So when you don't know who you are, what you're supposed to be doing, when you aren't having validated yourself or, those different types of things, then you look for other people and other things to validate who you are. You don't necessarily need that. As long as you're doing what you're purposed to do and walking in that, that's all that matters. But when you look at the statistics show that the millennial generation is dealing with increased anxiety,
Mm,
and we're dealing with increased anxiety because of the fact that we are comparing ourselves not only amongst each other, but we're also comparing ourselves against those that came before us. So, we're looking at people who our grandparents and our parents who maybe worked 30 plus years on the same job. And as we aren't like that. We'll switch job in a minute. We'll work for
mm,
ourselves before we work for somebody else. And instead of recognizing that our path is our path, we're looking at those who are those who came before us, or we're looking at someone who has the lifestyle that we want to live and comparing ourselves against that, not knowing what that person went through to get to where they are.
yeah.
So social media shows you a snapshot of somebody in a 3-second time frame of their life. I can put on the prettiest of makeup, the biggest smile. I can have the best clothes on and jewelry and all of that stuff, and perceive that, make you perceive that, because I'm making $10,000 in a day, that life is so great. But you don't know what's going on the other side of that camera. You don't know what's going on in their mind mentally. They're probably struggling with some of the very same things that you are, but you're looking at them and making it seem as if they're better than you when they're not.
Yeah. Yeah, that's and and that's and that's it's that's so for me. I understand. Look, folks can put on a front. That's how I feel. And I think that once people get in that mindset of not everything you see is real, because like you said, people can make everything look. So I guess my question is then, um, how can we get people, not just millennials or someone who's watching right now, because there may be someone who's watching right now, and listen, I want to talk to you, that may feel like, oh, I ain't doing anything, this pandemic, I just don't feel like I've accomplished anything. So how can people get people in the mindset that they're making progress, and to celebrate the fact that where they are now wasn't where they were before, and they're moving forward in the right direction?
Absolutely. So the first thing I will tell anyone is to consult the Father. What is He telling you that you're supposed to be doing in this time? We get so caught up in how society once again tells us what we should be producing, how much we should be producing. You can make 30K in 3 days if you follow my steps, blah 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 blah. If God didn't tell you that, then none of that matters. And if you try to implement those things, it's going to fail because it's not a God thing. So I always tell people to, make sure you're consulting God in everything that you do, because that's where the true productivity comes from, because He gives you the mindset to have to handle what it is that you're meant to handle. Everybody's not meant to handle 30 in 3 days or whatever it is.
No.
So you do yourself a disservice and you stunt your own progress by trying to create something that's not in your purpose and in your plan, right? So then the next thing is I break it down into quarters. So I look at my life on a quarterly basis. All right, did I have certain goals that I put in place from January to March? What did I achieve? What didn't I achieve? Why didn't I achieve those? How can I improve so that I'm moving forward? We always have to look at both sides of it. I think a lot of times we get so caught up on, well, I didn't do this. I didn't do this one thing, that I negate the 15,000 other things that I did, and I did in excellence, right? Or maybe I didn't do them in excellence, but I had to assess what was my situation. Did I have health issues going on? Family issues? Was there, a change in my finances because of the pandemic that I had to readjust? We have to look at those things and see where we are currently in order to be able to make changes for the future. When we just look at it out of that negative mindset, out of that negative scope, we hinder our progress, because now we get down and we get defeated. Now we're creating mental mindsets that stop us from moving forward.
So I'm gonna ask the question. So if y'all have questions, y'all drop those questions below. We want to hear what you guys think, or if you have any comments or any opinions, y'all add those below, because again, this is such a great conversation. So I want to talk a little bit more about that purpose thing. When you're talking about, like for example, someone saying making 30K. What's that? You say 4 days or 4 months?
3 days. I've seen people posting my emails, make 30K in 3 days. I did it this way.
Listen, that's the devil. That's the devil. We don't encourage that. We don't encourage that. But no, so yeah, let me so do you believe that it could also, like for example, like that, it's a mode of, I guess, desperation, not just financially, but people feel like again, they want to, it's like, and how does that look like when you talk about talking? Because I mean, I'm a preacher. We're both preachers. So I'm just going to have you to draw it out tonight. So for somebody that needs to know, how can they consult the Father to know what they're supposed to be doing, even with all of this that's going on, even with this pandemic and this COVID-19 that's going on, that's causing everything to be halted? What does that look like? How can I, somebody who's trying to figure out what am I supposed to do, or am I in the right place? Am I in the right purpose? How am I supposed to talk to the Lord? And what does that look like? Look, I'm just gonna let you answer that.
So my statement is, you have to know the word to know the word to use the word, right? We have to know the Father. That means having a deep relationship, with a connected relationship with Him, knowing His word, that's His written word, the Bible, as well as having that close relationship to where you can hear Him, so then you can use the word in whatever that you're doing, because everything that we are attached to has to have the Father in it. If it doesn't, we're in flesh, we're operating out of ourselves and not through Him. So it's all connected, right? So it just takes steps. One, when we talk about prayer, so many people, we Baptists, so, Heavenly Father, and groans and all of that.
Yeah.
That's how they did it. And I took nothing away from that. I grew up in it. I love it. You know what I mean? But
hallelujah.
That's not how I pray. I had to find my own way of praying and connecting to God. And so sometimes that is literally me sitting in my bed. Yo, God, we need to talk, because today I just wasn't feeling it. I got this, that, and the third going on. I just need to come to you and talk, right? And then I have days where I can go, I can intercede, I can pray, the standard prayer, however you want to say that, you know what I mean, the structured prayer, and move along from there. But you have to figure out what that is for you. One of the books that I recommend, mostly towards women, because she's a female author, but Priscilla Shirer has a book called, which one is it? Discerning the Voice of God. And that gives you a whole book worth of knowing how He speaks, when He speaks, just all of those different things. So, not only her book, but there are several other books that you can utilize that will help strengthen you in your relationship with Him, that you can connect with, your Bible, because obviously they have that, scriptures and stuff in there, but you want to fact check that for yourself. So putting the two together, obviously, also having a strong connection with someone of higher spiritual authority than you. Sometimes it's not always a pastor, because your pastors have anywhere from however many members to the great number of members, you know what I mean, that they are to. So you may not always have access to that, but there's other ministers within your own church, or heck, even deacons, deacons have knowledge of the word as well. Mothers, whoever that it is that has, found a biblical understanding and that a true relationship with the Father as well, to be able to help guide you so that you can become stronger in who you are, stronger in knowing what your purpose is, and then walking that out.
That's good. So listen, we got our first question. And y'all, please add your questions below. This is some good conversation right now. Look, I want y'all to bombard us with questions. We're gonna be talking, but we want to entertain whatever questions you have, because you may feel like you're not doing enough, or you feel like you ain't doing anything, and you just need to be reminded. Guess what? You are doing something, and that's what we want to encourage you. That look, if you're at another place, you went forward. If it was just only half a step, that's progress.
Absolutely.
So we can't minimize that. So the question is going over here. So is it Marquisa or
Pastor
Marquisa? All right. So she asked, what if the season was just to see how you survive during the winter season and not about growth?
Then that is absolutely okay. But that is, once again, where you have to know that is the season that you're in, and not looking at everyone around you to figure out what season they're in and trying to get into theirs when you're meant to be in yours. I've told many of my clients during this time, they're like, well, Jasmine, I haven't done this or I haven't done that. That's okay. I had somebody in here earlier, and for the last 9 months, they've lost some people. They lost somebody that was very close to them. They've changed jobs a couple different times. They were in a program, like they've got all this stuff going on. you're fine not doing anything right now. Like, you need to rest, you need to heal, you need to get some things for yourself so that when we come out of this, you're whole, you're refreshed, you're okay. So it's not necessarily that, you know, you have to make this level of growth or level of progress. Sometimes it's just being still, not doing anything, because you run all day long. And you have to be okay with that. I think that as a society, we have not valued being still like we need to. We value constantly being on the go. We honestly accessorize and talk about burnout as if it's okay. You know, work until, you know, you get tired. No, that's not okay. But that's what we do.
So what does, I guess, when I know you kind of talk about, so what does for you when we talk about this being still, and talking about surviving, because you know, because I was gonna play the other side, but I saw where you're going with being still and not, you know, trying to find growth. If you know this season is for somebody just to yeah, you know, to just go through it. So here's the question that I have, or not, it's not more or less a question. Well, yeah, it's a question. So what does being still, not, you know, not growing, just surviving, what does that look like? And how do you like, how does somebody manage that, you know, being still and just, I'm just here and I'm not required to, I guess, grow. I don't know if I'm saying that in the correct way.
Right. So I'll give you a personal story. I think a personal close with things. So I am in this season that we're in currently. I am in a mix of both. I am in a mix of learning how to be still while also growing and developing my brand, who I am, all of that. So I have had to learn how to balance the two. So many people have seen I just expanded my business to have an overarching umbrella, which is Jasmine Enterprises, which has been in the works. So you've seen I've done that. I had the video come out last week. I'm in the process of releasing my book. You see a lot of work, right? But some of this was stuff that was supposed to have been done months ago, that maybe even years ago, that I was disobedient and did not do it when I was supposed to. So God gave me deadlines and saying, like, you don't get this done, you're gonna see somebody else walk with your blessing.
Wow.
I've had that warning too many times. So I had to just step up and say, okay, I got to get this stuff done so that I don't forfeit the blessing that is over my life. But in the same token, he's also teaching me balance to where I have to know what I can dedicate to the things that are in my life and dedicating time to just be. I'm not a person that takes a lot of time for rest. I will stay up till 2:00 in the morning and be back up at 7 if I have to, right? Not healthy. Not healthy at all. Especially someone who deals with anxiety, because not getting enough rest fuels that. So I've had to learn how to cut myself off. You know, certain days of the week, I don't do anything. I don't take clients. I don't answer phone calls. I try not to answer emails out throughout the day, because I have to learn how to just be in the moment. I've had to learn how to just be able to lay in the bed and watch TV and be okay with that, or lay in bed and not have the TV on at all and just be like, God, I thank you.
Yeah.
I thank you that I'm in this place where I can be at peace and not have my mind constantly running and all of these different things. Is it definitely something I've had to train myself to do and sometimes still struggle with? Absolutely. But I've had to work at it, because if you want to create any other type of habit, you have to work to create it. I've had to do that so that I can be still. You know what I mean? So like when you talked about on Monday, this is my day off. Okay, I'm gonna answer these quick little questions. I ain't gonna ask you too much, because I know what it's like to overwork myself and do all of these things. So I'm definitely not gonna put that on you to be working and stuff on your off day. But that comes with having people around that respect that.
Boundaries.
Absolutely.
And you know something, what do you, and this is going off topic. When we talk about boundaries, some people, no matter what you say, when we talk about this about communicating boundaries, some people, no matter what you say to them, they just don't respect boundaries. So what do you do next if people will not respect the boundaries that you place when it comes to taking time to just be, because that's another thing. Some people may not feel like they're productive because folks that don't respect boundaries are always, ain't gonna say nagging, but close near to that. What do you do?
You put the boundaries in place, right? You maintain
Right.
the boundaries. If they don't respect that, eventually they have to, because you have to be consistent in that. So I am now consistent in, no, this is my schedule. Because before, if I would say no, people would be like, well, that doesn't work. Can you?
Mm-hmm.
And then I would change.
Mm-hmm.
And now, because I've taken one client on a Friday, now I've got 5. Now I've got 8, and my whole day is booked. And yeah, money is good, but I'm tired, and I'm burnt out, and I'm drained, and I'm not giving my best. So you put those things in place. You maintain the consistency with them. People will adapt, and they'll eventually move on. And that's having the understanding that at some point, everybody's not for you.
Mm.
You just have
Wow.
to, you have to accept
Wow.
that. And I think, with those of us who are in helping professions, we feel like, well, I want to help everybody. I want to be there for everybody. I can do this for everybody, but no, you can't.
Mm. That's a hard pill to swallow, because sometimes it's people that's closest to us,
Mm-hmm.
that don't respect the boundaries that we place. And, that's a hard pill to swallow. Jazz, come on. This is a hard pill to swallow.
But boundaries help your productivity. So we tie that back in. Boundaries help your productivity. So I'm reading a book now for class. Do I have it with me? I do. I am reading this book, A Center in the Cycle.
Mm.
It talks about self-care, but in this instance, it's talking about pastors who have not set up boundaries in certain areas of their lives. And so now they're not dedicating themselves to the proper amount of prayer and study and, being prepared for their Sunday morning blessings or Bible study or whatever, because they're here, there, and they're everywhere, right? If I am not able to set boundaries in place that help me be the most effective for whatever my purpose is or the ministry that God has given to me, then I'm not doing right by what God has given to me. And then I'm not doing right by the people that He is sending my way.
Mm.
So I've got to be cautious about making sure that I do put these boundaries in place so that I am always prepared for what the assignment is that God has for my life.
Mm. Mm. That's all right. So I think it's Pastor Ronald Owens. He says this. He says you have to love them into a change as you put the boundaries in place. Is that possible?
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes you gotta get a little thug with them, because some people just don't get it, and you just have to be like, look, my office hours are, but you can just easily guide them, especially if you're just now beginning to implement those changes. It is absolutely okay to say, I know in the past that I have made special accommodations for you to see you whenever. However, starting on this day, I will only be doing this on this day or this day between this hour and this hour.
Yeah. That's so true. So let me ask you this, as y'all keep the comments coming, man. We love y'all interacting with us, and y'all keep the questions coming. So with progress, and I had a definition of progress, but I'll let you take, however. Well, I mean, we talked about productivity, but I mean, it all comes into place. So what is, I guess, your working definition within the concept that we're talking about tonight of productivity? Um, and then how that works with the pandemic that's going on.
Okay. So I think it depends on the context of what I'm doing. So for counseling, I don't necessarily measure my productivity by finances. Although it is my business, and yes, I have to keep that going, that is not the only determining factor of productivity. For me, it's being able to see my clients making positive changes. For me, it's being able to see them go from maybe weekly appointments to now they're at monthly appointments because they don't need my assistance as much because they're growing, they're implementing the skills and developing and becoming better. So that is one way that I can measure productivity. Another way is just by setting guidelines, like deadlines. I mean, if I like with the book, I knew that I had to have the written copy done to get to the editor by a certain day. Okay, now I'm breaking that down. I need to work this many hours per day and make sure I'm getting it done. So that's how I was able to measure the productivity of at least that part of it. You know what I mean? So it's really in the field that I work in, we set SMART objectives. So we have our goal, but we set SMART objectives. So that means specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time sensitive.
Okay. Could you write that down? Wait. Can you try to?
Yes. Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time sensitive.
All right. I'm just gonna put SMART.
Yes, SMART objectives. But that helps me to stay accountable to what I see are my goals and the things that I want to work on personally, whatever it is that God is saying, like, this is what you need to do, this is when you need to have it done. I put those things into place so that I can measure how I'm doing. And then, maybe something comes up and I haven't been able to meet that at a certain timeline. Okay, well, what do I need to do so that I can increase my productivity or make sure I at least just get it done? Because maybe sometimes that's just all it is getting it done. Yeah. Not that there has to be a specific outcome of the number of products sold or the number of people I reached or whatever the case may be. Sometimes it's just you got to do it and watch the results come from there.
So what are some, I guess, with this pandemic that's going on, everyone at home, things are slowly opening back up. So, but not everything is. And I mean, things will not be the same now that, everything is shut down. So for someone who's watching right now that wants to do, that needs some encouragement, needs to know, hey, there's someone out there that cares about me to let me know, hey, you can, progress or not even progress. You can survive, and you got something. So what are some either self affirmations or self validations or practices that they can do where they can be, I guess, their self-esteem or anything like that, or confidence can get up and be like, okay, I'm ready to take the world now.
So I think the first thing is to realize that your journey is your journey. Stop trying to mold your life after everybody else. Because that does not help your productivity. That does not help your mindset. It helps nothing. You have to go with the flow that God has given you. I can't flow. I can't go in somebody else's waters and swim like them because that's not meant for me. I've got to swim in my flow in whatever God has for me. So you have to start there. That just being, accepting of and appreciative of the journey and whatever that looks like. The journey is not always easy. I feel like when people, it's hard for me to oftentimes accept when people say, like, we're doing so good. You know what I mean? Because I still feel like I could be doing better. But I also have to realize, they have seen the work that I've put in, and they're seeing what's going on and all of that. So I become appreciative of that. But learning how to just be able to keep going for myself has been the bigger thing. I would also say, stick close with people who will support you and not hinder you at this time, because everybody doesn't want to see you succeed. Everybody doesn't want to see you do your best self. Everybody does not want you to do better than them. And that can definitely hinder you. So you've got to know who is truly in your circle to be there to support you. I don't share every idea and every vision that I have or everything that God says to me with every person that I'm connected to. Because if I did, I would run the risk of thinking that. I would run the risk of hearing what people have to say, well, you can't do that. Or why would you do that? You're stepping out of your comfort zone, or you don't have this protection because you left a job or whatever. When I know what God told me. So if I'm not walking in faith, then I'm walking in fear. And if I'm walking in fear, then I'm being disobedient and that I don't trust God to be the God that He said He was, to take me where He said He's going to take me and to give me the things that He said He would. But, that comes with your own sense of self, of understanding who you are, but then not having negative people around you to discourage you from that. A practice that people can implement every day is I get up in the morning and I have an affirmation that I say.
Okay, what's the affirmation?
I mean, it just depends on where I am in my life.
Right, yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? So right now it's just really just been encouraging myself that I am going where God has set up my life is going, because there's so many things that are happening in my life. And once again, life looks good, but people don't see the other side of things. That doesn't exempt me from going through things. So I have to constantly, tell myself that in spite of what I'm going through, in spite of what I'm facing, God said you're going to the nations. God said that you would have, all of these great things. So I build myself up in that this is not where I am. Where I am now is not where I'm meant to stay. And I've just got to go through this as a part of my flow. I've got to go through this to get on the other side of it. But even if it's something as small as if you feel like you lack confidence in yourself, I am confident. I am loved. I am amazing. I'm meant to do what God has called me to do. I will prosper. I will persevere past my pain. All of those different things you can say to yourself daily, and not only just saying them, because a lot of times, we'll say an affirmation or we'll find a scripture to say and we'll just say it. But no, I say it to the point where I believe it. Because when I believe it, then I'm doing it. That's why people see my work ethic the way that it is now, because I'm believing that what God said and with me putting in the work that I'm supposed to be putting in, that it's going to happen.
That's good.
So I'm out of that.
That's good. That's good. And I I hate trying to switch the conversation, but again, I just feel that the saints need to know that counseling is available.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I just feel I'm sorry, the Lord just told me to tell somebody counseling is available.
Yes.
I how many times we have said this time and time again. I even said, we talked about it yesterday, and even in our weeks that we've been in podcasting, folks gotta at least take advantage of for you to, like you said, to be at that place to do a self-affirmation. That's maybe something that just needs to be talked with in a therapy session. I mean,
yes. And tying it back to counseling helps with productivity, because you can learn the things that have hindered you from being who you need to be or doing what it is that you need to do, right? A lot of us have gone through traumatic events. We've had negative family experiences where maybe we were told we weren't good enough, or we would never amount to anything, or you're just gonna be like your no good daddy, you're gonna be like your no good mama. All of those things play a part into how we do what we do. If I feel like I'm not good enough, if I feel like, not that my father was this way, but if I felt like, my daddy wasn't no good and I saw, the lifestyle that he lived and that's all that I'm going to amount to, then that's what I'm going to walk in. So I'm not going to be productive. I'm not going to be my best self. I'm not going to do what I'm not going to operate in the wholeness and the full functioning of how I should be. So sometimes it takes for us to go to counseling, not to your pastor, but
Hallelujah.
to an actual counselor,
Thank you, Lord.
psychologist, psychiatrist, whichever one you feel is going to work the best for you,
Yes,
to
Lord.
be able to sit down, to talk about those things, to pour out your heart. Counseling does not mean that you're crazy. Counseling does not mean that you're a failure or any of those negative things that we have attached to it. Counseling just means I need to go to somebody else to have a place where I can be open without fear of judgment, to talk about what it is that I've been through, to become my best self. Because there are certain things that Sister Sue on the street cannot help you learn how to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sister Sue, who has never gone through a traumatic event, cannot tell you how to handle that.
Yeah.
She doesn't have the personal experience, and she does not always have the some people don't have the educational experience. You know, I talk about this all the time. We talk about trauma. Trauma is both physical and mental. Everybody doesn't understand it. Everybody doesn't know how to handle that. That's why you have to go to somebody who can help you, who's trained in, you know, different trauma specialties, EMDR, DBT, CBT, all of those things that me saying it off the top of my lip, you know, you probably don't understand, but that's what we do. Yeah. That's why we get the knowledge, the skills, the training that we have to be able to help you, you know, overcome those things. Sometimes it's just, maybe you don't necessarily have depression, but you got all those negative things in your mind. Yeah. Let me help you eliminate your thinking, as we call it with the kids. Let me help you eliminate that.
Yes.
So now you've got a better mindset that will help you believe that you can go out and you can conquer the world.
Yes.
Help is out there, you know, and even right now with being, you know, everybody's not comfortable being at home, telehealth is available.
What did you say? Say that again. Say that for the
telehealth. Telehealth is available. Woo! So just if you're on Facebook right now and you're listening to us and talking to us, you know, whether it's comments or whatever, that's what you can get therapy that way.
Yes.
They meet you on your computer, your cell phone, your iPad, as long as you have, you know, the proper things to be able to do that. And you talk to them from the comfort of your home or your car, wherever you feel safe doing that.
Yes.
There's options. We just have to take them.
Thank you, Lord. Woo! I feel my help now. I feel it now. Listen, so Pastor Horton asked, she says, should pastors receive instruction on how to counsel? Is spiritual teaching enough? No, it's not. I'm just going to say that enough.
Yes.
It's not enough.
You want to speak on that?
Listen, it's not enough. I mean, you already said it. You know, there's so much that we can do. I would, again, you know, I went to school, you know, for theological studies, and I'm in the theological practice, you know. I think I don't know yet, after my MDiv, I don't know, I thought about it, going into counseling, but it's on a Master of Arts level, so it's not on the science level. So I would have to talk like, you know, like someone like you know, who went to school for that, went and got certified and stuff like that. So, and again, you know, that's one of the things, again, that us as pastors have to really navigate and do properly, you know, and we have to do it with wisdom, because and that's another thing that I want to say too. We just can't be telling some folks to go to these, you know, because we got to be careful who we send people to as well. Mm-hmm. Can't send everybody to everybody.
Absolutely. I have a set group of people that I will refer someone to because I know them, I trust them, I have worked with them personally to know what their level of confidentiality is, how they are ethically and morally, and all of those different things. Because outside of being a minister or a pastor, you know, we have different guidelines that we have to abide by. And I have to make sure that that is protected for myself and for other people. But to go along with the question that is asked, I do think that there is a level to which those of us who are in ministry can counsel people to without the proper credentials. just because there are certain things that aren't necessarily spiritual, right?
Yeah.
That's the lens with which we are counseling people from, is the spiritual. And sometimes everything is not spiritual or only spiritual. There's a deeper level to it. There's different ways to handle certain situations that if we just did it from our professional studies or just ministry, study from reading books and things, that we would not be best equipped for. And I think matters of abuse is where that comes up very often, because you have certain pastors who, it's funny because I just talked to Pastor Marquise about this, but in matters of abuse, you would have some pastors that would say, well, you're married. God says for you to stay with that person.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Is that helping the person who is dealing with abuse day in and day out? And not only are they being physically abused, but now their mentality is being changed. They're subjecting their children to this, all of these different things. That's not always the best way to handle those things. And so we have to learn what is for us in ministry for us to handle and what is not, and where we need to refer out.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me I got another, this same person. She asked, what are your thoughts about treating depression with medication? Because some people think that it's a spirit.
So it can be, right? But I think it's the discernment to know when a person is dealing with a spiritual issue of depression, and if this is something that chemical imbalances, lifetime, negative practices, things of that nature have dealt with. I mean, we don't tell a person who has diabetes to not take their diabetic medication because we believe God to heal them and all of these things. So I don't believe that we should necessarily tell people that you shouldn't get medication for depression or anxiety or whatever. Personally for me, it was a struggle because I did feel that way when I finally made the decision to go to my doctor and say, look, I'm having these issues and I need some medication. I did question myself spiritually, because I'm like, okay, did God tell, is God telling me to do this, or am I going against his will because I'm doing this or whatever? But it has definitely helped me. And it has not only helped me, but it's strengthened my relationship. And it gives me, I have faith to believe that I will not always be on medication. So I am not on that to sustain the rest of my life. I just know that I've been going through some different changes in my life, and that I needed a little bit of help to keep myself sane and not be so stressed out and all those different things. And it is my plan within hopefully like the next year to be off.
We claim it. We're speaking that right now. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Look, you speak that thing that happened. Look, we speak those things as though they were.
Yes, absolutely.
Sorry, I had to get to my spiritual side. All right, let's take it. Let's bring it on back. Let's draw it on back. So I think that what we're talking about tonight is so true, because with everything being considered, those are the things that we have to really think about. Is the simple fact that it's okay to say you're not okay, and it's okay to be. I mean, I think that's like kind of the entire the premise of this whole entire podcast tonight. When we're talking about checking on people, seeing how people are doing, it's just to let people know it's okay to feel like, you know what, I don't feel like growing right now. I just feel like, I just feel like being here and, existing and living through existing. I don't know if that makes any sense, because, again, it's that condition of always working and going and going and going. So when we compare ourselves, and comparison is the thief of joy, it's like it causes us to feel like we're nobody, and that's a self-esteem issue.
Yes. And it leads us to not taking care of ourselves. And to be your best self, you have to take care of yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all of those things. We have to help the total man, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you are not good mentally, whether you're battling with just low self-esteem, you're battling depression, anxiety, whatever those cases may be, oftentimes you are not taking care of yourself in the physical. If you're not taking care of yourself in the physical, whether that's sleeping, eating, exercising, all three, how are you able to go day to day? Because essentially you're running off fumes, right? If I'm not taking care of myself mentally, if I'm not taking care of myself physically, that means I'm drained, I'm burnt out, I'm tired. I'm probably not paying attention to myself spiritually. I'm not engaging in prayer as I should. I'm not reading my word as I should. I'm not, right now we're not attending church physically, but even, with virtual, I don't want to, I may not want to get up and attend my virtual service, or when church is in, I'm not getting up and going to the church because I've got all these things going on. And so we have to learn that we have to take care of every single piece of who we are in order to be our best selves, right? And it's a trickle down effect. Wherever you are lacking, it will then go to another area of your life.
Yeah, that's so true. That's true. We gotta look. Is that the inner man? Is that what it is? We gotta work on the inner man.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that we really got to focus on. Just focus on in the inner person and ourselves. The person that people don't see.
Absolutely. And stop, not that we don't need to, take care of the outer self, see, you got your hair cut, no more do-rag.
See, you didn't have to go there tonight.
Not ready to do it, right? But, we can't put so much emphasis on the physical, the outside physical, that we aren't taking care of the inner spiritual. You know what I mean? And that's where so many of us, I think, circling back to where we started in the beginning, so many of us get caught up on, because we see people and they look happy. They look like they've just got it all together. And that's not the case for everybody. You know what I mean? And I think if we can be, Dr. Matthew Stevenson said it last night in the leadership training.
Man,
We
I
all
didn't
have
sign up for that. Dang.
Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. I'll send you notes.
All right, do that, please.
But essentially, he was just basically telling us that everything starts from a story, right? But it's how we craft that story that can either help or hinder other people. So if I am crafting my story to always show the good side of me, do you really get to know who I am? Do you really get the help of understanding what it's like to go through things? You know what I mean? My brand is based on purpose. Purpose isn't pretty. Purpose isn't pretty. Let's just be clear. You know what I mean? We glorify it and we glamorize it, but purpose isn't pretty. I've had to go through, you will have to go through, everybody has to go through pain and struggle, hurt, jealousy, bitterness. All of those things help make up who we are and how God brings out our purpose to be able to help other people as we move forward and them finding their purpose and things of that nature, right? But if we don't understand that, if we don't share that, we give people a false sense of hope. We give them a false understanding of what it's like to get to their purpose, to really develop that true and strong relationship with God. So when we get people who come, to church or accepting Jesus as their savior because they see our lives and we give them this false hope, then when they start going through stuff, they like, well, wait a minute. Jasmine, you didn't tell me that I was going to go through some stuff. You didn't tell me that, financial issues was going to pop up and all these things. We've got to be real with our story. And that's where I think, this has come from, even, S3 podcast, being transparent about the journey that we are on and how it's gotten us to the place that we are and hopefully will even take us further in who we're supposed to be.
Yes. I would end off right there, but I got a question. We got a question on the floor. Well, Minister, you married. I'm single, so I think this is probably something you probably will have to take on. So The question is, what about relationships? How do you try to find someone during this time?
So once again, I will tell everybody, start with prayer. The second thing I will tell you to do is make sure that you are ready. Sometimes it's not about finding the person that you're supposed to be with. Sometimes it's about finding yourself, knowing who you are, dealing with those internal issues that you have now and have had for years. Getting healing from those things, figuring out, what it is that you're dealing with, to be able to know, am I really ready for a relationship? Is this something that God is truly preparing me for, or is it something that I'm just desiring because maybe the flesh is a little weak? Maybe, I've been connected to somebody for years and now they're not in my life, or they're not fulfilling me the way that I thought they would, and so now I'm looking to move forward in my life. You have to look at all of those things. Are you in a position, Pastor Horton, we talked about this the other day, are you in the position to be a wife? Because as she told me when we talked the other day, you're a wife before you're even a wife, right? Your husband before you're even a husband. That means you have to be who you're supposed to be. So I can't say I want all these things and do all these things when I'm living mediocre and not living up to who I'm supposed to be spiritually, naturally, all of those different things. That does not mean that you won't continue to grow and develop and become who you're supposed to be in the midst of the relationship that you may want to get into. And that doesn't mean that, you'll be totally healed from everything, because healing is a continual process. But we have to work strategically and, diligently with the guidance of God to be who we are supposed to be. Because if not, you could get that person and run them away.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say.
I mean, it's just where it is. You know what I mean? So I would, one of my favorite books on marriage is Power and Purpose of Love and Marriage by Dr. Miles Monroe. It's just a great book, and it talks about making sure that you are prepared as individuals for the union of marriage, because at the end of the day, that should be the end goal. If we shouldn't just be looking for relationships, be looking for relationships.
Wow.
Because you're never going to find fulfillment. The end goal should be marriage. And I want God to, for those of you who are single, asking God to get you together for that man or that woman that you are supposed to be with. Not just be with anybody because, they look good, they smell good, they talk good.
Mercy. Lord have mercy. You know something, I'm still supposed to be setting up that 30-year-old saved, single, sanctified. I need to get that set up for real. We gotta, this is good for real. Y'all let us know for real. I told Jazz we were supposed to bring her on and some of her folk, because we got to get the 30s in there, man, because y'all in a different age range. But I mean, you married, but I mean, you still give advice. That's up if your husband's okay with it. That's brother Pope's already, man. Bring him on. Bring him on. I think that'd be good.
Listen, you make it happen.
All right, I will for real. I'm gonna make it happen. All right, we just getting a lot of comments. Did you want to answer this one? She's asking, when it's too old to be married.
I don't think there's a limit on it. I mean, we've seen, the Facebook viral posts where they're 70, 80, 90 years old and they found love. You know what I mean? I think it just, whatever age it is, it takes two people dedicated to being with one another, living together, growing together, and all of those different things to make things work. And so if you can do that, then I would never put an age limit on it.
Okay. Okay. Listen, hold on. We listen. We gonna get you set up. I see. What's her name? I'm wondering if I'm saying her name right. Miss Sister McNeil. We gonna get you set up. We gonna get some set up, y'all. You look. You let your friends know. You know we gonna get some set up. We gonna have something to help you in this quarantine season. Look, we serious. We gonna get you together. We gonna get you right. But for all those who are watching, thank y'all so much. Listen, y'all send the comments below if you got more stuff to say. We about to end off. I'm gonna let Jasmine have final words. And if you want to ask something else, please do that. Look, she said, please. We got you for real. We got you. We got you. We'll let you guys have any questions. I'll have Jasmine, preacher, and end us off. End us off. Give us some final words, and we're gonna get off of here.
All right. So, in tying everything together, I think the biggest takeaway that we can take from productivity to now, segueing into relationships is that you have to know truly who you are, and be at your best self to see the things in life that you want to happen. That does not mean that you will be at a level of perfection, because none of us are perfect, right? We're all still growing daily, trying to become better. But we can put the work in to be our best self. And sometimes that doesn't require anything. Sometimes that requires you resting because you work all year long, all day long, all the time, and you need the rest to get yourself together. Or you need to utilize different resources. Once again, we talked about therapy. You can use journaling, reading different books, in this time to be able to get yourself together. And that doesn't require you to do a whole lot of things, to be out and about with a whole lot of people. But that's just saying, I'm taking the time to prioritize me and get myself together. So I continue to encourage anyone that is watching this, that will watch now, watch later, whoever is sharing this, just encourage you to take this time to become the best sense of who you are for you. Because at the end of the day, when you get good for you, then everything else comes to you, because you're a magnet that will attract just the goodness and the greatness that God has for you. But it takes you to have that personal journey and that personal development to become that.
And that, my friends, I have nothing to say on that. Till then, you do this every time. You do this every doggone week. I tell you, you do this every doggone week.
We're making it happen, bro.
Man, listen. I'm cool. I'm cool with not saying anything. I look. If I didn't look, I'll be mute. I'll mute my mic the entire time and be like, "Go on, just talk. Just talk. We just want to hear from you. We just want to hear what the Lord. We just want to hear what thus said the Lord."
So yeah. So y'all drop comments about what y'all want to hear.
Oh,
we come up with some pretty good stuff, but we want to hear from y'all. Like, what do y'all want to hear us talk about? Any specific topics? Any maybe just questions you have? Send them to us. We will make sure.
Please, we begging you. Excuse me. I was gonna say Negroes, but I'm begging y'all. Listen, I don't say that type of language, but literally, please let us know. Seriously, we've been going hard for these past we've been going hard these past few months, actually, to be honest with you. We have been coming with content, like, and we kind of got a little off because stuff was happening in our own personal lives, but we're back on. We are back. Listen, me and Jazz, we were talking. We got some big things coming.
Big coming. So stick with us, share, tell everybody. But most importantly, like I said, we want this to be things that will help you all. So we can always, think of things that we think you all will want to hear. But the researcher in me too always wants to find new things to talk about. So if you have something, inbox us. The email is on the flyer. Send it to him. We'll talk about it and make sure we get it talked about.
Yes, so y'all drop that in the comments below what you want to hear for next Wednesday. By that time, both of we got one right now. She says, as a pastor, I want to know what your generation wants to see in their church. How do we minister to them without pushing them away? That's good.
I like that.
Honestly, Jay, we can bring some people on with that too. It just don't have to be us two. Did you think about that?
Absolutely. We'll talk about it.
Yeah. We'll get off of here. We're gonna have after hours. But y'all keep them coming. Y'all keep the comments coming. But until then, y'all stay safe. Look, we love you guys so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and look, I'm just excited, Jazz. This thing about to blow. We about to blow.
We gonna do it.
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. All right. We off of here. Y'all be good. Y'all be great. Stay sanctified and sanitized. We'll see you next Wednesday for Wellness Wednesday.
Yes.
And